So welcome everybody to our morning yoga class. And today we're going to be working on the idea of mindfulness in yoga. So often we come into a yoga class, and if you were just to watch from outside, say you were an alien from Mars, you'd say, what's the difference between a yoga class and any other kind of fitness class? I mean, they're doing plank pose, they're doing lunges. It looks like a fitness class. And sometimes it's approached as a fitness class. There's nothing wrong with that. But I wanted to focus today on why yoga is actually an exercise in mindfulness and why that makes a difference to us. Just going to adjust my camera angle a little bit so that you can see while we start here. Say good morning to Natalie. She's in a little bit of a mood because she didn't get her WALK yet today. When I teach at 9 o'clock, I don't like to do anything else in case I get distracted. And I don't make class on time. So now you notice I've set up a blanket underneath my hips so that my hip joints are higher than my knee joints, and that allows my back to be in its natural curvature. If sitting like this is not available or comfortable for you for whatever reason today, grab a chair and sit in a chair, because that works really, really well. And then maybe we'll close our eyes for a moment. If you don't feel comfortable closing your eyes, you can just maybe look down at the floor where it's kind of boring. And we'll just take a moment to come into and inhabit our body. And this is, of course, one of the things that really differentiates a yoga class from any other kind of fitness class. A yoga class typically, and it probably should, begin with a period of centering, especially if you have a puppy who's annoying, trying to distract you. Go practice your meditation now. So we're going to sit with our legs feeling heavier and heavier towards the earth. So whatever part of your lower body is settling to the ground, let it settle a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. So the sitting bones are rooting deeply towards the ground, and the bones of your legs and feet are feeling heavy towards the ground. So as soon as you start to come into and inhabit your body, you're beginning a more mindful approach to whatever comes next. Once you're well rooted into the lower half of your body, then start to think more about the crown of the head. That's right at the very top of the head. And imagine that you are like any organic growing thing on this earth. You're reaching towards the sun. So lift the crown of the head up, up, up towards the sky, elongating the spine quite naturally and effortlessly. Noticing the space that you've created in the middle part of your body by just elongating and reaching towards the sun. Begin to breathe in and out through the nose, taking regular, smooth, soft breaths in and out through the nose. And while you're just taking this time to center, I want to set up our class with a little image if I can. Imagine you're a photographer. You're taking your camera out to take pictures in the world. And you have to hold the camera in your hands. It's hard to hold your hands perfectly steady. And sometimes you get a fuzzy picture of the world. There's some distortion. And maybe you're not satisfied with the results. So the photographer gets out their tripod. And they set the tripod up with the camera on the tripod. Now the pictures are perfectly still. You get a much clearer picture, and we're much more satisfied with the results. So let's imagine our mindfulness practice this morning is built on that tripod. And each of the three legs of the tripod are a specific aspect of the mindfulness practice. The first leg of the tripod is curiosity and playfulness even. The second leg of the tripod is an openness, a non-judgment. And the third leg of the tripod is kindliness or compassion. And these three legs of the tripod form a firm base for us to have our experience. So we take a clearer picture of what's going on in our world. We're going to bring these three tenets of mindfulness into our postures today. So taking one or two more of these smooth, regular, soft breaths. And then letting your eyes gently flutter open, and we'll come into a little bit of movement this morning. So let's take a little bit of movement with the hands on the legs. And as you inhale, just pull gently back through the arms and lift the chest. And as you exhale, push through the arms gently and round out the back. So this can be done from my position, sitting on the ground, or it can also be done from sitting in a chair. Try to see if you can keep these same smooth, soft, regular breaths as you move through the cat-cow type movement this morning. Let's take one more breath. And then come back to a neutral seated position. When you're ready to inhale the next time, let's take one arm up and exhale, lean into half moon. Again, this can be done from sitting in a chair as well. Our goal is the same, to keep the lower half of the body well grounded to the floor while we stretch the side body. Let's do two more on this side. And then let's switch sides. So this is a familiar movement to many of us. It's easy to think about other things because it's pretty simple. But I'm asking you to really stay focused on the sensations of this movement. Practicing mindfulness as we do our half moon stretches. So we're just kind of warming the body. Last one. And practicing bringing our awareness deep into our experience of this moment. So movements are often done quite a bit more slowly in the yoga class so that we have time to really experience the full impact of the movement. You know, if we were in a fitness class, we might have done that quite quickly, bounced around, but that wouldn't give all the layers of our experience a chance to absorb. If you've been sitting cross-legged, how about changing the cross of your legs just for fun? If you're in a chair, you work cross-legged, so you don't have to do that. And we'll come into some easy, gentle twisting motions. So inhale, nice and tall. Exhale, twist gently to one side. Come center as you inhale, and exhale, twist the other side. So bringing those tripod legs into our practice consciously now. So the first one was a curiosity or even a playfulness. So can you wonder, how does this feel? How does this feel different today than it did last time you did this? And that's probably enough of those opening movements. Let's come up to a standing position and we'll come into some standing movements. I'm going to move my blanket off of my mat, come to the long edge of the mat and take my feet further apart. So we'll come into some standing movements. How's that angle of the computer? Not too bad. There we go. So taking the legs pretty far apart and starting with the heels further apart than the toes. So it almost feels like I'm a little bit pigeon-toed. We'll take the right leg, externally rotate the right hip so that the toes are now pointing towards the short edge of the mat. Look down at your right foot, make sure it's parallel to the long edge of the mat. Lift and spread the toes and really get all the muscles of the right foot very activated. Let the toes relax back down to the floor, but they're barely touching. Most of the weight is across the ball of the foot and all around the heel. When you're ready, we'll bend the right knee and allow the right knee to be right over top of the right ankle. Now you can take this left leg, step it forward a little bit, turn the left foot in a little bit more, anything that you need to do so that you feel like you're spacious through the pelvic area. And then let's start to come into warrior two. It can be our first standing pose. So lifting the arms, turning to look down the right middle finger. Notice if you start to feel some tension growing in the shoulders, you can turn the palms up, kind of like, hey, who me kind of pose. Bend the elbows a little bit, then just turn the wrists down. And you'll notice that puts your shoulders in a bit different position. It might be more comfortable for holding the posture. Move back into your calm, comfortable, regular breaths. So we're bringing curiosity into the practice. We're also bringing in our openness. So noticing what comes up when you hold warrior two and being open to that. So sometimes we want a certain posture or we want a certain sensation, like we want to feel super relaxed when we do yoga. Well, maybe that's not happening right now, but can you be open to it anyway? Let's take one more breath on this side. And then releasing, turning the legs so that they're parallel for a second, taking a breath in and out just to kind of center again. And then we'll move into the posture with the left knee bent. So exactly the same thing. Taking care and time as to how you arrange your lower body. Lifting the left toes, stretching them, making all the muscles of the left foot come up and alive. And then bringing weight specifically to the four corners of the left foot before you bend the knee. And then when you're ready, you can come into the warrior pose on this side. Looking down that left middle finger now. So we're bringing curiosity, we're bringing openness, and then let's also make sure we bring maybe the most important leg of the tripod, and that is the kindliness and the compassion. So that's where you might make some adjustments to your arms, or you might not take as deep a bend in the hip or knee joint. You might not hold it as long if your body requires that kindliness today. Let's take 2 more breaths here in our warrior two. Long, slow, comfortable breath. And then releasing the posture, coming back to legs parallel. So today, as you can see, we're holding postures a little bit longer, being still in the posture, because we're practicing mindfulness, and it takes time for our bodies to communicate all that it wants to say to us. Let's rotate the right leg similarly to what we just did. This time we're going to come into triangle pose though. So we might not be bending the right knee as much as we did for warrior two. Although if you need a little flex, of course, let that be soft through the right knee. Well grounded through the lower half of the body. When you're ready, we'll inhale, open the arms straight away from the body, turn the palms forward. And as you exhale, tip over to a triangle pose that's easy for you to hold for a few breaths. So you could be looking down at your right foot, looking straight forward as I'm choosing, or it's very easy to look up at the left hand, but I don't want to strain. I want to be able to be open to the experience of being in this pose. So if I take such an extreme version of the pose that my body's screaming at me the entire time, I'm practicing override then. I'm practicing dissociation. I don't want to do that today. I want to really be mindful, and I want to inhabit my body today. So take a version of triangle pose that you know that you can do without a whole lot of effort. It's not to say we're sloppy with it, but we aren't straining to hold this position. We feel comfortable. We can take those calm breaths we've been practicing. And now we can be open, curious, and compassionate with ourselves. Let's take 2 more breaths here in Trikonasana. And I like to look down at the right foot before I inhale to bring myself back up, turning the feet parallel. So before we go into the other side, just taking a mindful break here and noticing we've only done a couple postures. We really haven't done anything terribly demanding. You've seen all this before, but notice how this is affecting all the layers of your experience. Mindfulness, there's a lot of scientific research on this, has a way of helping us access parts of our brain that are closed off to us when we're under stress. So you may be feeling that as we come into this mindful approach to asana this morning, that parts of your brain are opening up, that you feel a sense of calm or competence that as you were rushing to get ready for class wasn't there. Let's take the left leg, turn it out. Again, you can have a little flex in the knee if you need it. Grounded and firm through the lower half of the body. Inhale, exhale into triangle pose on this side. So we can bring our curiosity. We can say, how does it feel to be in triangle on the other side? What are the differences between the sides of your body? Often we are resistant to looking at that because it means things aren't perfect or not going the way we think they should. But that's when the openness comes in. And we just accept and embrace what we find in this pose, in this moment. And always overlaying this or underlying this on both sides really with compassion and kindliness. Whatever you discover in Trikonasana, this is exactly what you needed to know today. And your body is lovingly communicating that to you. Take 2 more breaths in triangle pose. I like to look down at the left foot as I bring myself back up on the next inhale, turning the feet parallel. And just, again, taking those breaks. This is another difference between maybe a fitness class and a yoga class, in that the pace in yoga is much slower. And it's not because we can't handle the fitness. It's fun to do the fitness classes. Maybe it's good for us to do the fitness classes. But in yoga, we want to have a chance for all of this to percolate through to the deepest layers of ourselves. Let's one more time turn the right thigh bone out and bend the right knee. I'm going to come into side angle pose again, or this time. And we want to make sure, as we did before, that we don't take too deep of a version. So no need to bring your right hand to the block or floor. Maybe we'll just stop at the version where we drop the forearm onto the thigh and swing the left arm up over the ear. So being curious about how this feels today. Can you feel the outer edge of your left foot? Can you feel your left buttock engaging? Can you feel the space between your left hip and your left armpit lengthening? Can you bring that sense of lengthening on the right side of the body as well? So the space between the right hip and the right armpit is getting longer. That changes things, doesn't it? Be curious and aware and open and kind to yourself. Let's take 2 more breaths in side angle. And then maybe looking down at your right foot as you inhale your way up. So the slow pace of a yoga class can sometimes be alien to people. But you know, your body is always in this same place. It can't time travel the way your mind can. So when we practice mindfulness, we're bringing the mind into the speed of the body. And this can create a wave of relaxation because the body can breathe a sigh of relief. Oh, the mind is back. It's my partner again. Let's turn out the left leg, bend the left knee. This is the same setup as you've had before, so make the adjustments that worked before. And take a fairly simple version of side angle pose for today. Come into your calm, relaxed breath. It's regular though. It's not choppy or dysregulated. And then, notice how much weight you're putting into the left arm. Can you lift it off a little bit and use your core strength to really elongate through the spine? And how does that feel when you work more in your core? Take a few more deep breaths. And then looking down at your left foot as you inhale and bring yourself back up and turn your feet parallel. So we're keeping our feet wide apart in a parallel position for this next pose. It's the forward fold here. And if you know that your back's stiff this morning or that forward folds tend to be a bit difficult for you, take your feet a little wider apart, maybe even, and have maybe blocks or something to touch, a low ottoman or table, so that you're not straining to get your hands all the way to the floor. Because as I said, we're really trying to be kind to ourselves. It's one of the basic tenets of our mindfulness. So, when we hinge into Prasarita Padottanasana, we want to hinge at the hip crease, not bend over at the waist, but hinge right here. So softness in the knees. And as you exhale, fold forward, chest leading, and bringing your hands to the ground or to your blocks or to anything else that's easy for you to touch. So my friends that have a little bit of stiffness in the back today, take your legs a bit wider apart, take your heels a bit wider apart, and see if that helps with the hinge at the hips. For my very flexible friends who have no trouble bending forward, your legs can be a little closer together. That'll give you a little bit more challenge. And see if you can drop the weight of your head. What happens on this exhale if you really draw the belly muscles in? Do you find that you effortlessly fold a little bit more when you engage the abdomen? And then when you're ready, we'll take the hands to the hips. Inhale, lift the back halfway up so you're parallel to the ground. Exhale here, again, drawing the belly in firmly to support the spine, and then inhale the rest of the way up. Step your feet together. We'll take a moment in mountain pose. Finding the weight equal in the right and the left foot. Mountain pose is often just like a passing glance in our yoga practice. We're doing a flow practice. Mountain is just a place to take one exhale or one inhale. But today, let's inhabit mountain pose a little bit more fully. So we'll start at the feet. And you might lift and spread the toes a couple times just to really activate the muscles of the feet the way we did in our standing poses already today. And then as you let your feet rest into the ground, you might imagine snowshoeing. I've never actually been snowshoeing, but Oda mentioned this in a class the other day and I really liked it. Imagine your feet are snowshoes. And snowshoes were traditionally woven with sinew that was like kind of bouncy and flexible. So can you kind of sense your feet spreading out like snowshoes and having that sinewy or bouncy quality to them? And then let your awareness come up your legs, soften your knees ever so slightly so that there's no tension in the knee joint. And then let the back of your pelvis drop a little bit. We're not tucking the tailbone per se, but we're letting the sacrum feel heavy, like an anchor from a ship. So the lower half of the body is rooted into the ground, the way it was in our initial seating posture. Let the arms be heavy at your sides and relax your fingers. And then think about the crown of the head, the way we did in our initial seated posture, and lift the crown of the head up, up, up towards the sun. So there's an organic elongation of the spine. And as we stay here for just a couple more breaths in mountain pose, be curious. What's it like to stand actively, but in a relaxed way, in a very balanced way? I always end up balancing over on one leg and kicking a hip out like I'm still holding a baby on a hip. So what's it like for you to hold an active, elongated spine, but be relaxed around that? How does your breath feel? Where does your mood go? Okay. And then let's turn to face the top edge of your mat in mountain pose. And let's take the right leg back into lunge. So it's a very high lunge. Right foot is on the right side of your mat, left foot's on the left side of your mat, and you're in quite a high lunge here. Front knee is directly over the front ankle. If you have the ability to peek back, notice your heel is pointing straight back. A lot of us, our back foot will be on a bit of an angle. Today we're trying to keep the heel straight back. And then when you're ready, we can inhale, lift the arms up. Elbows could be bent if the shoulders were a little bit tight today. And you can always take the arms to the sides if that gets too tiresome. You could join the palms above your head, and you could create Kali Mudra with the index fingers extended. All those are options. And then let's balance here on the ball of the right foot. Take a few of those calm, deep, mindful breaths. Be kindly to yourself. So if I'm holding the posture too long, you come out. But on the other hand, maybe you're a bit curious to see what would happen if you stayed for one more breath or two more breaths. And then when you're ready to release our lunge pose, step forward into your mountain pose again. Taking a moment to feel the difference between the two sides of the body. And then when you're ready, from mountain pose at the front of your mat, step your left leg back. Front knee is bent. The back heel is pointing straight back. We're up on the ball of the foot. We're engaging strongly through the left glute and the right quadricep muscles. And then you find the arm position that's going to work for you today. And now let's inhabit this position. So often we find ourselves in places in life where we're not really fully present in this moment. You know, when I'm sitting working at my computer, I'm sitting, but I'm not listening to my body about what it feels like to sit there. I'm busy thinking about whatever document is on my computer. Even when I take the dog out for her walk, I might be thinking a lot about how I'm going to help my mom in her hip. And I'm not really feeling my feet land on the earth or noticing the birds singing like crazy. So let's take a couple more breaths in a lunge pose here to really be in the body and bring all of the aspects of mindfulness to this breath, to this moment. Be curious, be open, and be kind. And then when you're ready, we can release and come back to mountain pose. And the next pose I was planning to hold for a few breaths is downward facing dog. Now, if you find down dog too tiresome for your shoulders, you could grab a chair and use a chair for your down dog. So just make sure your chair is rooted somewhere where it won't move. And this is a wonderful alternative that doesn't put as much pressure on the shoulders. You can also do a child's pose or a prayer pose if that's better for you. So when you're ready from our standing position, let's take an inhale, lift all the way up. Exhale, bend your knees and soften forward. Place the hands and walk the legs back. Bend the knees a little bit as you push your hips back into the downward facing dog. So let's talk about kindliness first today in this pose. If I'm holding this pose too long, you're going to take some rest. Maybe dropping your knees into child's pose or just coming onto all fours briefly. Or if you have a chair handy, you could be sitting in a chair. The real purpose, I think, of downward facing dog is to find that length in the spine. So for you, this might mean bending the knees a little bit more and extending really long through the hips up to the sky. Let your heels come a little bit further apart than your toes. So you're looking back at your feet, they look a bit pigeon-toed. That might separate the sitting bones a bit more and allow you more space to really elongate through the low back. Take a couple deep breaths. Let all aspects of your experience be felt, even if it's aspects of your experience you don't normally like to pay attention to. One more breath if you can. And then let's bring our knees down. And we're going to make our way onto our bellies. So coming down onto your belly, however makes sense. I'm going to adjust my camera angle a little bit. You can let your head rest on your or on your hands, if that's helpful. And I'm going to suggest a particular breathing pattern here. So you're in what's sometimes known as crocodile pose. Please let your big toes come together and your heels roll away from each other. So your legs feel somewhat relaxed and your lower back feels somewhat relaxed. Make sure there's room for your body to breathe. So you've got some space between your nose and the floor. And then begin to take some even deeper breaths, even deeper than we started with. And direct your awareness, if you can, to your upper back. So when you're breathing in, you feel as though the lungs are pushing more back up towards the sky. Now, if you're really uncomfortable on your belly, you could be doing this from a seated position, even seated in a chair. Just take one more breath like that. And then you can let go of the breathing practice and just observe. And notice any sensations or any feelings that come to you from having really directed a lot of energy or breath power into the back of your lungs. Okay. Slowly, let's press up just to all fours for a second. And you know I like to work with a blanket because I'm on a hardwood floor. So if you like that kindness, bring it to the front of the mat here. And then we're going to come over onto one side and come onto the elbow. So the elbow is directly underneath the shoulder. And you can have this hand pointing straight to the long edge of the mat, or you can rotate it at a 45-degree angle so the hand is more off towards the corner of your mat. Your shoulder will tell you which position of the arm feels best. So there's a couple different things you could do here. We're coming into side plank. So there's a couple different things you can do. And remember, kindliness is one of the 3 legs of the tripod. So you don't want to do the end posture if that's not healthy for your body today. So this could be the first posture, just really trying to lift the bottom ribs up from the floor and create a long line between the hips and the crown of the head. So this is one way to start strengthening the shoulder and building the strength you need to hold side plank a little bit more in the future. So this could be option 1. Another option would be to take the top leg forward and use the strength of this leg to help push you up. So you're doing a little bit more of a side plank. You're kind of progressing into stronger work in the bottom half of your body. And of course, someday you may decide that you want to take both legs out and hold up this way. This is a very demanding posture, so you want to take a version that allows you to hold it and be able to practice mindfulness. So we want to go back to our breath and notice that we have calm, regular, soft breaths. And then we want to go back to practicing the 3 tripod legs of mindfulness. Can we be curious? How does it feel to hold side plank? What part of your body seems to be working the hardest? Can you be soft and compassionate with yourself and come out of the posture when you're ready? And can you also be open, even if things are difficult for a few minutes? When you've had enough, we're going to release, and maybe we'll go back to the crocodile pose for a couple seconds. So bringing the hands underneath the forehead, making sure you have room to breathe down here, and taking a few deep breaths, directing the breaths. They're much deeper, really, than what you've been using other times, and the breaths are being directed to your upper back. Like big balloons are inflating in your upper back. And then you can let go of the breathing practice and just rest for a couple breaths, observing again how breathing in that way affects you. And does it affect you different when you did it the second time? So this is all questions that we ask when we're really interested, when we're really engaged with our bodies. We're not just pushing our bodies into fitness moves, we're practicing yoga, which means we're building a relationship, we're integrating, and mindfulness is one of the tools we use. Let's roll over to the other side, and we'll come into side plank on this side. So remember, you can adjust this hand in different ways. And the first stage, if you're new to the posture or you want to build up more strength after not doing it for a while, just lift the bottom ribs up and hold there. That's a wonderful way to build strength and progress towards this eventually. The other option is the top leg in place. And of course, the third option, and there's probably a million other options, is to come into the full expression of the posture. Wherever you are, make sure that it's sustainable to be here for a while, that your breath isn't sacrificed because you're straining so deeply. And be a little playful. What happens if you take the hips a little higher? What happens if you drop the arm? What happens if you take a different version of the posture? And like kids playing at the playground, we don't take anything too seriously. Just take 2 more breaths here in side plank, just to see what it feels like to hold it this long. And then when you're ready to release, be gentle with yourself and come back over onto the belly, hands supporting your forehead so you can breathe easy. And take a few more of those special breaths where we really feel the back of the body as you inhale. The back of the lungs expand dramatically as you inhale. Okay. And then let's come into cobra pose. Now for my friends that have been using chairs and you weren't down on your belly, you know that you can follow along with most of the instructions here just by holding on to the back of the chair and then lifting the chest the way we're going to do in cobra pose. So you could be seated in a chair and be doing this posture. I'm going to change my blanket from just at the front of the mat to running the length of the mat. Simply because I like to have that cushioning between the hardwood floor and my body. So one of the principles of mindfulness is kindliness, right? So using the props in an intelligent way so your body's supported. Okay, so we're lying on our bellies if we're doing cobra pose. The big toes are closer than the heels. We're pressing the fronts of the hips, the fronts of the thighs actively into the ground. Arms are down the mat, fingers are spread into the ground. As you inhale, drag your body forward and push the chest up and forward. Keep a bend in the elbows, keep the collarbones wide, keep actively pressing the fronts of the hips down into the floor. So your pelvis is still in contact with the floor. This is actually a lot harder to hold the posture this way than pushing up all the way, locking into the elbows. So you're actually building a lot more strength. Take a few of those deep, smooth, soft breaths. Releasing and coming back into cobra pose if you need a break. But just finding out what happens when we stay here. Being curious, being open, being in your body even when things are challenging. Maybe 2 more breaths if we can. And then let's release down to the mat and roll over onto your back. Bend your knees, stand your feet in the floor. And just rest your spine into the earth. So if you've been working on a chair, why not come and join us for this part? When you feel everything kind of start to settle, and now that you're really practicing tuning into your body, you might be more sensitized and really feel that settling, that integration that comes with yoga. Lift your legs up towards the ceiling. The knees don't have to be perfectly straight, but we're working towards that. Inhale, take your arms up and maybe back. Exhale, bend the knees into the chest and press your arms firmly into the floor. Inhale, return back to the opening position. And as you press the arms down, really feel the muscles wrap around your spine, your whole core engaged. Let's take 2 more breaths like that. Good. And then release the feet back to the floor. Take a breath to integrate what we've just experienced. And then roll over to your side and press up. You can do a seated posture or 2. So just like at the beginning, I'm going to fold my blanket. So I set my spine up for a really good neutral position before I start doing any kind of forward folding or any kind of seated work. So got my blanket set up. I'm going to sit up on that. So that I feel that my pelvis is kind of cascading forward. My sitting bones are hitched over the edge of that. And I've got those beautiful natural curves in my spine again. So initially my legs are stretched out. I'm doing staff pose. This can be my home base from this section of the class. And then when you're ready, bend your right knee. Notice I'm not using my hands, I'm just using my muscles of my body. And then drop the knee out to the side. If you find that your knee or hip are stiff today, grab a cushion or a block to prop up that knee. In fact, that felt pretty good. I think I'm going to do that. Get your hips settled, just like we did in our opening meditation. You want to feel that the lower part of your body has lots of contact with the ground. The crown growing up towards the sun. So you're elongating naturally and organically, like all things that are growing in our gardens right now. We're going to come into a forward fold over the left leg. Know that you can bend the left knee as much as you need to in order to keep the length in the side body. Inhale, elongate, and exhale, come forward. Now, it doesn't matter where your hands touch. They don't have to reach to the leg, to the foot. You don't have to have a strap or anything like that. Just let your arms rest wherever they landed naturally and continue to elongate the spine. So you're still drawing the chest forward towards the left knee. You're still growing the crown of the head. It's maybe not going to the sun now. Maybe it's going on an angle to the sun, but we're still trying to elongate. So pull the left sitting bone back and really plant it into the ground while the crown of your head reaches forward over the left leg. Relax your chin to your chest and take some of those smooth, calm, regular breaths. What happens here when you flex the left ankle and pull the toes back to your left shin? How does the posture change? What happens when you shift the left sitting bone back just a little bit? How does the posture change? When you're ready to release the posture, walk your hands off the mat and sit upright again. And we'll lift the right knee, but keep it right here. And there's some space in between my legs. I can put at least 1 or 2 fists in between my 2 legs here. Sit up really nice and tall like you're still in staff pose. So still find that organic length to the spine. Bring your left arm behind you to kind of support you. Inhale, lift the right arm. Exhale, bring the right arm inside the right leg and twist your belly towards the left side of your mat. So it's an open twist. Holding here, let's inhabit the pose. Press down through your right leg. The foot's well grounded. Move the right leg to the right arm and the right arm to the right leg. Widen the collarbones. And breathe deeply and calmly. And when you're ready, you can release and straighten out the right leg and find staff pose. This is our home base for the moment. Taking a moment to let all of that percolate through your system and really sensing how deep these postures reach. And then when you're ready, we can come into that little combination on the other side. So bending the left knee and letting it drop out to the side, dropping. That feels kind of nice today. And because kindliness is really an important part of mindfulness, anytime there's a practice, no matter how good it is for you, like taking castor oil or something, we're not going to do it if it doesn't have a healing or a kindly undertone. So adjusting your posture so that your body feels support. Inhale and exhale. So it might feel radically different doing a head to knee pose on this side. Can you be open to that experience? Can you be non-judgmental about the fact that the 2 sides of your body have had such vastly different experiences on this planet that they feel different today? Is it any wonder that they feel different? Can you be open to that? Can you be curious about how they feel different? Can you be kindly to yourself by allowing yourself to rest here not pushing or pulling too hard. How does the posture change if you exhale now and really pull the belly muscles in firmly? Do you notice any physical change in your posture? And when you're ready to release, walking your hands back up the mat, lifting your knee up, and allowing some space between the two legs. Elongate the spine. So mindfulness doesn't mean you just roll over and let life take its course. Mindfulness means you show up when it's time to show up, and then you let go when it's time to let go, and you know the difference. So showing up means directing the spine to an elongated open channel. Showing up means to inhale and exhale into the twist with awareness and intelligence. Showing up means to push the left knee into the left arm, the left arm back into the left knee, and keep the collarbones wide. But now we let go. We let go of trying to create a particular experience here or to control the environment in which we're experiencing. We just become an observer. So mindfulness is a blend of showing up, taking action, and then observing. Taking a couple more breaths in our open twist today. And on your next inhale, releasing the twist, stretching the legs out and coming back to home base for the moment. So throughout our class today, we've been trying to stay really uber present with our bodies, really aware. So often you don't want to feel your body. Maybe there's an old injury that comes to call, or you don't have the energy that you want, or you don't like the shape of your body, the look of your body. Mindfulness asks us to be open and curious and kind to our bodies. Okay, let's come down onto our backs, and as you know, it's nice and kind to your body to have a little cushioning if you're working on a hard floor. So if you have that ability to have a blanket, you can arrange it the length of your mat again. And then come down to lie on your back with your knees bent and feet on the floor. We'll just take a little bit of closing movement here. When you're ready, take an inhale, and on your exhale, draw the right knee in towards your chest. You might hold behind the thigh or in front of the shin, whatever feels better for you. And straighten the left leg out. Push out of the left heel. So you're purposely elongating the left leg. Come into your calm and relaxed breath. You may decide to take the left arm back behind your head. So you're doing a full body stretch on the left side, the heel pushing down towards the end of the mat and the shoulder blade creeping up towards the top edge of your mat. One of my teachers calls this the lake pose, because the left side of your body at this time is like a big, open, spacious lake. There are waves, sun sparkling on the water, life moving within the lake. Take one more inhale here. And as you exhale, gradually bring both knees in towards the chest. You can habit this shape for a few breaths if you like. And slowly, when you're ready, you can stretch the right leg out on the mat. The right heel is actively pushing down to the end of the mat. And the breath is full and calm. And then you could come into lake pose if you like. Right arm back behind your head and the whole right side of your body in a full stretch. Kind of thinking about the open vastness of the lake, the power under the surface of the lake. And it has room to move and flow. So pushing your right heel down to the end of the mat, angling your right shoulder blade up to the top of the mat, and stretching the lake, opening the lake. Taking one more inhale here. And as you exhale, releasing the right arm back to your side, releasing the left leg out to the mat, and just letting yourself find Shavasana. So it's a kind of a no frills Shavasana. If you need more, a pillow or a blanket, of course, be kind to yourself. We'll just take a moment or two here at the end of our practice this morning to just be open to the experience of stillness. Let's be present in our bodies, even though there's no shape to discern or to analyze now. Let's be aware of the sensations in the feet, the legs. Be aware of the sensations in the hands and the arms. Just be aware of any sensations around the pelvis, the pelvic floor, the hip joints, the low back. Let's be aware of the belly and the chest. And as you bring awareness to these places, we're bringing our mindfulness toolkit, so we're open to what we discover. Curious even. And wherever we bring our mindfulness, we're bringing a softness, a kindliness, a caring for this beautiful body that's journeyed so far with us in this lifetime. Awareness coming to the shoulders, the throat and neck. Feeling the heaviness of the head as it rests, the floor or pillow. And awareness to our facial expression. And then letting the whole body, from the toes to the crown of the head, know that we are caring for it and that this is a time that it could relax any tension we've discovered. Sometimes you got to send the invitation, you know what I mean? We could relax the legs. We can relax the arms. We can relax the belly and the chest and the face. all of that can relax. And as we just take a minute or two more in our Shavasana, be open. Let's not wish for anything different. Let's just be with what is. And let's be even curious. What happens when I start to relax? What does that feel like? And what's my reaction when I can't relax? What does that feel like? And isn't it interesting that you can have some parts of your body that are very comfortable and some parts that don't want to relax, and you can be aware of that all at the same time? Isn't that interesting? You have the option of staying in Shavasana and practicing mindfulness a little bit longer, then by all means, stay right where you are. I think you may have other things you want to get to today. You've done a wonderful job of honoring your body and practicing mindfulness so far. So if you're ready, gradually move your position to a seat. Could be a chair, that's fine. Probably the seat you took at the beginning of class will work really well. When you're ready, drawing the hands together at the heart in a prayerful gesture. This is a way of expressing gratitude back to yourself for taking the time. Your body loves you because you took this time to get to know it a little bit better. And let's weave it all together with the sacred sound of Om. I'm inhaling now. Namaste.